Hello everybody, welcome to Deluxe Collectibles, and today I'm going to be doing a ranking video for the brand new Wave 2 Rick and Morty Season 4 Funko Pops. So there are 6 Pops included in this wave, and I will be ranking each one out of a score of 5, and then at the end it will be out of 25, and we'll translate that over to a percentage mark, and I will also be telling you my want list for the wave as well at the end of this video, so I hope you all go on to enjoy, and remember that all of these opinions are just my personal opinions. I'm not saying anything objective. It's not like this pop is the worst, but it's just my personal opinion, so I hope you can appreciate that, and let me know your personal opinions in the comment section below as well. I want to hear your rankings for this wave. There's only 6 in this one, so it should be pretty easy to just let me know which ones are your favorites and which ones are your least favorites. So let's get straight into it here with number 6. Alright, so at number 6 here we have Hospice Morty, and now this one I put at the bottom here because it's a little bit of a depressing pop here. I mean, it's literally Morty basically on his deathbed here, and he just looks out of it. I feel really bad for him here. It's like, this is like a depressing Funko Pop, not exactly what I want to see in my super like colorful collection of like Rick and Morty pops, and then you just have this one who just looks like he's just dead there. But this one is at the bottom here because it does have a more simple design as well, even just going away from the depressing sort of vibes that it's throwing at me here, but it just has a more simple look in my opinion. But I still think that it's an alright looking Morty. At least it's some sort of unique variation on the character. It's not just like they're giving us a new Morty and it just looks like the original one, so I am glad about that. But just personally, this one is going to earn a 1 out of 5 here. And now let's move on to number 5. Okay, so at number 5 here we have Rick with a crystal skull, and now this one is pretty cool because I do like the skull that Rick is holding here. I think that it looks really awesome. I love how it has like 3 eyes there, and it just looks really like menacing, and I'm really wondering how this is going to play into the story. There are some pops in this wave where I know how they play into the story, but there's some that I do not, and that includes this one and the Hospice Morty. I do not know how those come into play as of filming this video, but for now I think just based on design here it looks pretty cool. Now the thing bogging this one down is that it's just a standard Rick here. Now don't get me wrong, that's fine and all, and for once he actually doesn't have like alcohol coming out of his mouth there, any drool or anything, so it is a little bit of a variation there, but I still think it's pretty simple overall. So for this one I'm going to be giving it a 2 out of 5, and now let's move on to number 4. Alright, at number 4 here we have Mr. Poopy Butthole. So this one is definitely going to get you demonetized on YouTube or save your channel possibly. It's kind of up in the air at this point, but nonetheless here is Mr. Poopy Butthole, and he looks pretty cool here. He's in a cowboy uniform, which, how creative. Mr. Poopy Butthole is going to round up some horses or something, but no, I do actually know how this one comes into play here, so there aren't really going to be any big spoilers in this video. Like, I'm not going to like tell you the plot synopsis or anything of the episode or anything, but it's basically him at an auction and he's hosting it, and that's about all I'll say here. But I think that the design is pretty cool here. It's nice to get a new version of him, so for this one I'm going to be giving it a 2.5 out of 5, and now let's move on to number 3. Okay, so at number 3 here we have Spacesuit Morty with Snake, of course, because you can't go into space without a snake. That's why they kind of rhyme there, but nonetheless, this one is Morty right here. I think he looks really cool. I love the designs of these space outfits here. I think they look very, like, futuristic there. I like the kind of orange and the little bit of blue in the middle of it, and I really like Morty's snake here. I think that it looks very, very cool. I love the design of it. I think it's cool how it has, like, a blue helmet around this one, and I do know how this one comes into play, at least a little bit of it. I haven't seen the full episode, but I know that this snake bites Morty and then Morty gets sick or something like that, so that's kind of how it comes into play here. But I do like this one, and it's also because they get out of their like obviously their saucer or their spaceship or whatever you want to call it, and Rick has to fix the tire. I don't know why you have to fix the tire in space. Does not make a lot of sense, but nonetheless, this one is a pretty cool looking pop. Morty does not look very happy. Looks like he's like, I'm afraid of that snake, and that snake looks like, well, I have found my dinner for tonight. So I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. I think that this is a pretty well done pop here, and now let's move on to number 2. Alright, at number 2 here we have Spacesuit Rick with Snake, of course, because once again, you gotta have a snake here, and this is the Rick one, and I put this one above Morty, because for this one, I actually like the snake from Morty a little bit better, but I just prefer Rick overall, just his design and his character, so that's why this one's a little bit above of that other Morty one, but basically the same points here. I think this snake looks pretty cool as well, though, because it does have like that almost like Cyclops visor, and I think that's an interesting design choice, but for this one I'm going to be giving it a 3.5 out of 5, and now let's move on to number 1. Now at number 1 here we have the King of Shit with sound, of course, and this is Rick right here, and he is the King of Shit, and I know it's not a word that people like on YouTube, but it seems to be one that people might be transitioning over to saying more and more as YouTube continues to evolve, supposedly. I'm using air quotes, I know you can't see that, but this one looks really great here. I love the design of it. I think it's such a funny moment from the show, and it's kind of what the episode is centered around, so I won't like talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I think that it's just really funny in the show. It's kind of like Rick basically protecting this toilet, and this is like near the end of the episode, and I just think it's so funny. I'm really curious as to what sound it will make. I think there was some song that it played at the end of the episode when he sat on the toilet, so I assume it'll be something like that, but I love how it has the toilet paper there. He's got his pants down. This sounds very, very odd if it was taken out of context, but this one looks really great overall. The hat there, or the king's sort of crown, looks really great. I love that, and just the kind of I don't even know what you would call it, the terrain, I suppose, looks pretty good as well. They added a bit of detail to that, so just overall this one's just a more creative one to me. I really love the design of this one, so I think that this one definitely earns its 4 out of 5, and now let's move on to my want list for the wave. Okay, so now we're at the want list section of my video, and you might be surprised to hear that I actually don't want any of these pops. I know I'm just like, Rick and Morty, get it out of here. I do not want any of this, but it's just mainly because I don't collect any of the pops from the line. Some of them do look cool. I really like the King of Shit, but it's just that they just don't really appeal to me personally. I do like the show, but I just don't really feel like I need to collect the pops, and there's so many Funko Pops, obviously, so I really gotta narrow down which ones I actually plan on collecting. So for this wave, it's just not something that's of any interest to me, but I do still like the designs of them. But now let's move on to the final verdict for the wave. Alright, so the final verdict / score for the wave, out of 25, it scored a 16, which isn't too bad. It did pass, but this gets it a 64%. So I think that's a pretty good mark here. I think it's pretty accurate in kind of showing my feelings on this wave, just kind of portraying my thoughts on it. And I think this is by no means a bad wave of Rick and Morty pops. I'm sure big fans of Rick and Morty, like the Funko Pops specifically, are going to absolutely love this wave. I think that of course, the number 1 pop was really good. I like both of Rick and Morty in their spacesuits. Mr. Poopy Butthole looks really great. The Hospice Morty and the Rick with Crystal Skull, I feel, are a little bit, The Rick, I feel like, is just a little bit lazy, and the Hospice Morty, I just feel like is a little bit creepy, but nonetheless, I think that all of these still look really great and are overall a pretty strong Rick and Morty wave. So I hope you all went on to enjoy this video. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on it down below, and let me know your list, because I love comparing and kind of contrasting against what your list is like and what my list is like, because of course all of this is just subjective. You could like the Hospice Morty, it could be your favorite one, so I want to know down below, especially if the Hospice Morty is your favorite one, and I want to know why it's your favorite one, because that's a little bit concerning. But I hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time. Always remember, keep on collecting.